Disney. They've been around for almost 100 years and have made 60 animated feature films. You would think their archives are full with iconic items and things that would make fans' minds explode. And you would be correct. But what happens if Disney loses something to time? Or footage is lost? Or what if Disney never finished an item and the things from it that were finished are lost now? Well, I'm here today to tell you about 7 of those pieces of media that time has forgotten. Number 7. Lost footage of Innovention's Sega exhibit. In 1994, Epcot opened new attractions inside the former Communicore buildings. These new attractions would now be known as Innoventions and would display new tech and how that would be applied into everyday life. One of the exhibits inside the pavilion was a Sega exhibit. Inside the exhibit, guests could play Sega games like Sonic the Hedgehog, Virtua Fighter, Toe Jam and Earl, Aladdin, The Lion King, and more. Information that is known about this exhibit is little, since not a lot of people would record those exhibits at the time. It is known that around 1997, a new game called Nights into Dreams was added, and around 1998, Sonic Adventures was added. This part of Innoventions closed in 2001, and there are only a couple of pictures, a commercial, and a 9-minute video of footage available online. Number 6. American Dog. Many people think that Bolt has a good storyline about a dog that thinks he has superpowers, but may not have been executed correctly. Well, Bolt was originally not supposed to be Bolt at all. Instead, it was going to be a movie called American Dog, and be about Henry, a famous TV dog who gets stranded in the desert and has to give up his tidy life of scripted triumph. Henry would run into a rabbit and a cat that has a car. They are tricked into helping him get home. During his journey, he meets a retired circus performer, a mutant Girl Scout, and a waitress. Test footage was made and shown at SIGGRAPH, a computer animated film festival, in 2005. Currently, that and some other concept art are the only things confirmed to exist and be released. Its director, Chris Sanders, reportedly refused to listen to executives. Eventually, the film was deemed too surreal, and Chris Sanders was kicked off the team. He then left Disney to join DreamWorks, and Disney rewrote the movie to what is now Bolt. Interestingly, John Travolta, who played Bolt, was reportedly on board to play someone in American Dog. Thomas Hayden Church and Mario Cantone were also reportedly involved. Number 5. Lost Phil Harris recordings for TaleSpin. Lots of people who grew up watching the Disney afternoon cartoons definitely remember TaleSpin. TaleSpin was a spin-off of Jungle Book, with many characters from Jungle Book, and also new characters made for the TV show. Baloo was a main character in the show. When the creators were casting, they wanted Phil Harris to play Baloo. He played Baloo back in 1967, so it would have been cool for him to reprise his role. Phil Harris accepted, and he recorded lines. How many lines of episodes he recorded is unknown. Some say he recorded up to 5 episodes. Some say he recorded less than 1 episode before being recast. The creators didn't like the test recordings. His voiceover was reportedly aged and didn't sound like Baloo anymore. He was replaced with Ed Gilbert, and the test recordings were scrapped. Nobody knows what happened to them. Some speculate that they are still in a Disney recording studio, but this is unlikely, as stuff like this is usually not saved. These recordings are still lost, and will probably be never heard again. It's a shame that these will probably not be found, because Phil Harris passed away in 1995. Number 4. Kingdom of the Sun. Like Bolt, Emperor's New Groove was not supposed to exist. Originally, Kingdom of the Sun was about a llama herder named Pacha, who meets the greedy Emperor Manco, who looks exactly like him. Manco is becoming bored with palace life, so he decides to switch places with Pacha. Yzma, the Emperor's sorceress, finds out about the switch and turns Pacha into a llama who cannot talk, so she can take over the empire. She doesn't like the sun, and wants to plunge the empire into darkness to retain her youth. She does this with the help of the dark god Supai. Manco finds out what Yzma has done when he travels back to the empire with Mata, a female llama herder. When they arrive, they need to fight Supai and restore the sun. The cast included David Spade as Manko, Owen Wilson as Pacha,
Wow,
and Eartha Kitt as Yzma. The film was supposed to release in the summer of 1998. Production began in 1994 and problems quickly began. Some executives thought the plot was too cliche, and some didn't like the dark themes in the plot. Some thought Sting's songs were too experimental for a kids movie. Other Disney movies around this time were not financially successful, making it hard for the studio to make the film correctly. Even the name went through many changes. The first name being The Kingdom Sun, then changed to Kingdom in the Sun, then being changed to Kingdom of the Sun. Interestingly, there is also an unreleased documentary called The Sweatbox, made by Sting's wife, that chronicles the whole making of this movie. The film was delayed multiple times. First, supposed to come out in the summer of 1998, then moved to the summer of 2000. Roger Allers, the director, knew that summer of 2000 would not be possible to release the movie. He went to extend the movie's release date again, but he got denied. That's when he quit the movie. Kingdom of the Sun's story was then drastically overhauled to become The Emperor's New Groove. It is unclear how much of Kingdom of the Sun was completed, but at least 20% was finished. The only things that have been released from the production are the early animation drawings from the Sweatbox footage and the 2 Sting songs that were released on the Emperor's New Groove soundtrack. Number 3. Pixar Made in Point Richmond DVD. In 2001, Pixar released a DVD meant only for employees. It included home movies from around the Pixar offices and lots of animation tests and shorts. This DVD was released sometime after For the Birds was finished. It contained very rare shorts like Blowing in the Wind, which is just grass blowing, the original cut of Knick Knack, Beach Chair, and Flags and Waves. It also included commercials that Pixar made in the 80s. Some may not know that Pixar actually made commercials for brands like Tropicana, Kellogg's, Coca-Cola, Arm & Hammer, Hershey's, Tower Records, and more. These commercials had a section on the DVD, and the 2 that aren't on the DVD but have been confirmed to exist are lost. Luxo Jr. had 4 shorts on the DVD that were actually lost into 2007 when they were released publicly on the Pixar Short Films Collection Volume 1. There was lots of Toy Story 2 material on the DVD, including Woody and Buzz at the Oscars and Jesse's acceptance speech into the Cowgirl Hall of Fame. Jesse's acceptance speech actually has a long history of itself. The Cowgirl Hall of Fame didn't have a copy of it, and it was lost for a while until this DVD was confirmed to exist, and that footage was on there, making it found when it was eventually released. The full It's Tough to Be a Bug film is actually on the DVD, along with the animation from the Buzz animatronic in Space Ranger Spin in Magic Kingdom. This DVD was never posted online and was never sold online, deeming it lost. Many Pixar employees were reached out to in hopes of a ripped copy of the DVD, or if they were interested in selling it. But no employees wanted to sell it or post it because of this message in the beginning.
All this is copyrighted, of course, but we don't own the copyrights to most of this stuff. So therefore, we beg of you, please don't sell this. This is for you guys, the employees alone, for our enjoyment and for our archives, to tell everybody what we did.
That was until 2018, when someone posted on the Lost Media Wiki that they had a copy of the DVD and was willing to post the content from it. Unfortunately, a lot of things like this that are posted onto wiki forums are not legit, and some people were skeptical. But the full DVD was then uploaded on Google Docs and YouTube. I'll have a link to the Google Doc download and a card to the playlist in the description. Number 2. Newt. Speaking of lost Pixar media, none is more famous than the incompleted Newt, I would say. Newt was going to be Pixar's 14th film and be released in 2011. The plot was about 2 blue-footed newts that need to be brought together to save their species, but Newt and Brooke can't stand each other. Newt and Brooke embark on an adventure and discover that finding love is not as easy as it looks. It would be directed by Gary Rydstrom. Ben Stiller, William Shatner, and Dabney Coleman were reportedly part of the cast. The film was pushed back to 2012 instead of 2011, before being cancelled altogether very quickly after. An exact reason that Newt was cancelled has never been given, but in a 2014 interview with Pixar president Ed Catmull, he said that it was an idea that wasn't working in pre-production, and that Pete Docter had come up with a better idea. That idea would actually become Inside Out. It is unknown how much of Newt was finished, or even any of it was made at all. The most reasonable explanation to why Newt was cancelled, I think, is because, well, stop me if you heard this plot before. Two animals need to mate to save their species. Yeah, it's exactly Rio. And Rio came out in 2011. So, yeah, didn't want the Wild and Madagascar and Bug's Life and Ant situation again. Instead of Newt, Brave released in 2012. This is the first and only time a Pixar movie has been announced and entered pre-production and then never came out. Newt has a few Easter eggs in Pixar movies. There is a Newt crossing sign in Toy Story 3. In Brave, the witch picks up a Newt to add to her potion. And in The Good Dinosaur, there is a close-up of a prehistoric Newt. Number 1. Halex. See the light of your love shining brighter. I see the light. You brought me out of all this darkness around me. I see the light. I see the light of your love shining brighter. Halex was a rock band that played in Tomorrowland at the Space Stage underneath Space Mountain in 1981 in Disneyland. They were dressed up as original characters that were heavily inspired by Star Wars and sci-fi, such as the Baharnath, the Frogman, Mott Rillum, the Space Background Singers, and Laura Mumford's character, who was described as a rebellious punk Princess Leia. The Baharnath looked like a white Wookiee, and most associate him to be a Wookiee. Mott Rillum, whose real name is Tom Miller, but fans named his character Mott Rillum, was the keyboard player that looked a lot like a stormtrooper, and the Frogman really looked like a frog, but played percussion. Halex was popular during the summer of 1981, but after they ended in September of that year, they faded into obscurity very quickly, with all of their props being discarded, and for a while, the only evidence of them ever existing were audio recordings of 3 songs on YouTube. More media has been found since the release of the documentary Live from the Space Stage in 2020. The video recordings have been confirmed to exist, Laura's jacket was found, and more audio recordings have been released, but there is still something that Halex fans are in search for: studio recordings. After Halex ended in Disneyland, they were signed by Warner Music Group and entered the studio. But the band never finished the record because they were dropped by Warner Music Group. Mike Post said in the documentary that the recordings he had from the record were discarded. It is not known how many of these recordings still exist, but Bangoey, the uploader of the original live audio, has stated that he has 1 demo. But that has not been uploaded yet. So that is 7 pieces of my favorite lost media from Disney. There is a whole bunch. I highly recommend going to the Lost Media Wiki and searching up Disney and just reading all the stuff that is partially lost or is not completed or lost altogether. It's such a fascinating topic, at least to me. And lost media is so broad because there's so many good topics, like me and my friends, there's so many good topics like that, and the search for Clockman. There's one going on with the Shrek the HP? No. The one camera commercial, but people are thinking that that's actually now a poster. So that searches for a dead end. What is it? Slam Fest 99. It's a wrestling competition or wrestling event that was live streamed on the internet, and it featured a whole bunch of Nintendo characters. That's lost now. It's just such a even ones that were left off of this list, like there was the Herbie the Love Bug, the computer animated series on Disney Channel that is lost now. I mean, there's so much, and it's so fascinating. So please, if you're interested in that, like me, go on the Lost Media Wiki and just search up Disney. It's fascinating. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you did, let me know by leaving a like, and consider subscribing. It would make me a very happy man. And let me know down below in the comments which piece of lost media, if they found it, would make you the most happy. And with that, I will see you in the next one. Have a magical day, everybody.